This is Bethany Nonami, and I am the Client Success Coach with Lodestar. And I'm really excited today because we actually have Taya with IBM. She's a product manager for scorecarding and strategy management. And it's quite a mouthful, so thank goodness she's here to actually explain and show you guys a demo of what scorecarding is in TM1 and BI. Next slide. So briefly, I'm just going to explain the session agenda real quickly. We're going to talk about scorecarding. So for those of you who are not familiar with scorecarding, it's a little bit different than dashboarding, and how you can tie that into strategy management. It is included with TM1 10.2.2. It is also, portions of it are also included with Metric Studio and some of the BI reporting capability. We're going to show you a demo of how it works, and if you have any questions, a lot of the questions we get about this is whether or not you own it, and we can help you answer that question either online or offline after the session. Next slide. So what is scorecarding? For those of you who are not familiar with scorecarding, it is basically a strategic planning and management system. A lot of times it's used in different industries, in government, nonprofit. It doesn't really matter what your industry is. It more helps you align your business activities with actually a visual of what your organization is doing from a strategic standpoint, and allows you to improve your internal processes, any type of external communication you have. And sometimes people are more visual. So what scorecarding gives you is the ability to see things visually. There is a website that has a ton of information. It's Balanced Scorecard, balanced with a D, scorecard.org. On there, you will find white papers, case studies, articles, how to start talking about scorecarding initiatives in your organization. There are tons of resources on that website, balancedscorecard.org. Next slide. So let's talk about a couple of the benefits. There are several benefits, but these are pretty much the two biggest ones. It keeps you focused. So in our organization, in our environment today, we have one or two smartphones. Some of us have a smartphone and a tablet and a laptop, and we are multitasking constantly. And even for something as simple as turning off distractions and actually sitting and looking at your business, looking at your organization, we need to see things visually. Many of us look at data, and many of us look at that visually somehow. So what this helps us do is keep focused so we can actually focus on whatever our goal might be. When we see it visually, it allows our brain to process it, and we look for certain things. If we're looking at TV, we automatically look for a contact person or a website or a phone number. If we're looking at an ad, a lot of times we associate the brand with different colors. All of these connections and all of these associations are visual. If we look at it from an advertising perspective, they're trying to move someone to action. Make a phone call, go buy Coca-Cola, go visit our website. 23. We're trying to do the same thing, but we're trying to visually connect people to our business goals and actually helping us go through that process. When you do that in a scorecard, you're stimulating our brain to see how we're doing in that process. So we know that there are certain steps that are needed to achieve a goal. If we put that on a scorecard and we can see we're green with this activity, we're green with this activity, but we're not doing so well with different other activities to get us to that goal, but they're required in the process, then it helps us quickly visually see how we're doing. Next slide. So for those of you who are old Cognos clients, you have tools now that help you keep score. Report Studio. You can put different types of trends, different targets, different metrics within your report. So you can build custom reports right now in Report Studio to help you keep score. For those of you who are more data-centric with planning or TM1, many times you actually have the data that is built behind these visual scorecards that most people see in BI. So we're kind of addressing everyone, whether you're a data person or you're visual and you want to see those metrics in a report. You can do those things today, probably with what you already own. There is another solution that's been around for ages called Metric Studio. And that whole purpose of that tool is to basically help you measure and scorecard and determine how you're trending and how you're doing. And it has a calculation engine built in. Metric Studio is not as widely used as Report Studio, so some of you may not be familiar with it, but it's fine. But for those of you who have these solutions, you can do scorecarding right now with what you own. Next slide. So let's talk about in TM1. TM1, the latest version, 10.2.2, which is pretty new, has robust scorecarding built in. So you're leveraging what TM1 already does well. You already have a powerful calculation engine. But on top of that, you're now putting scorecards. You have strategy maps. Strategy maps will help you clarify what your plan is. And you have all of these different user interfaces. So for your users that are very visual, scorecarding and strategy maps may be the best way to go. For your people that are heavy data manipulators and they've got to see the number, what's the number, what's the number? Then you leverage the calculation engine that's in TM1. So you can figure out the best interface for your users and for your team to talk to whatever clicks in their brain. We all click differently, so what makes most sense? I actually am a combo. I'm like a weird hybrid, and I like to see the scorecarding so I can quickly drill down on what's red. And then I have to look at the data and say, okay, why are we not doing well in this area? Why are we failing? Why are we not excelling in this area? But everything else is green. So if you have those people, you just have to figure out what works best for them and give them the tool that will make them successful. Give them the tool that clicks with their brain, that makes them take action, and make sure they understand what action they need to take to get from red to yellow to green. Next slide. So let's talk about the licenses that do include scorecarding. Now, again, scorecarding is new to TM1. So if you're not on the latest version, you probably don't see it because it wasn't there before. So for TM1 scorecarding, it comes with any of these licenses can leverage the TM1 scorecarding feature. TM1 user, TM1 modeler. The modeler is your admin. Enterprise user, Express PM user, Express user, and Express admin. Now, how you know which license you have is in your entitlements. So every year when you guys get a bill from IBM support to say, do you want to continue your support and your maintenance for the next year, you get this list and it says TM1 user 10, TM1 modeler 1. One section or column shows you the user name, the user type, which are these names right here. The other shows the quantity of how many licenses you have. So if it's very confusing, and there's a part number, and that's what everything's kind of driven from. So if you don't know if you own it, or if you have questions, you can reach out to Kelly, Serena, Neeraj, Ian, whoever your person is, or even the consultants if you're not sure who your person is, and they can tell you what you have. Now, Metric Studio comes with Analytics Admin, Analytics Explorer, and these are new titles, guys. So if you don't recognize these titles, that's fine. IBM just changed the names of most of these licenses. But the old name for Analytics Explorer was BI Professional Author, and Advanced Business Author. BI Manager is a legacy license, and Metric Studio is also a legacy license, but there's Metric Studio add-ons. So again, all of these licenses, if you have any of these licenses, which most of you guys on here have either TM1 or BI, so you're probably covered with scorecarding. But again, let us know if you need help figuring out if you own it, and all you need to do is upgrade to the latest version of 10.2.2. Now, upgrading is an uninstall and a reinstall, but I don't think it's major. Actually, you know what? I gotta confirm that. I don't know if you have to uninstall. I think you do, but I'll confirm that before we get off. Next slide. Okay, so I'm very excited to introduce Taya, and she is the IBM Product Manager with Scorecarding and Strategy Management. And if you can say that 3 times fast, you're much better than me. But I want to flip it over to her and have her introduce herself, and then let's get into the fun stuff that you guys really want to see, how you can leverage this and how this actually works. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bethany. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
All right, so as Bethany said, my name is Taya Sherbakova. I'm product manager for IBM TeamOne Scorecarding and Strategic Management. So any of the questions related to scorecarding on TeamOne or existing BI Metric Studio or scorecarding and strategic management, feel free to reach out to me or to your very friendly partner. They will have all the information that you may need. Mike, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So scorecarding and strategic management, I actually will do a tiny little correction in terms of the version numbers. We did add scorecarding to TeamOne in version 10.2. So that's a version that's been released last September of TeamOne. So TeamOne scorecarding has been around for over just a bit over a year. And the reason why we went with building this functionality into TeamOne is what we see from a lot of our TeamOne customers is that they have a lot of data. They have a lot of numbers. They have a lot of Excel-like interfaces where it's a grid of the data, and they don't really follow through with why certain numbers are being monitored, why certain numbers are important within the organization. So what we've done in the last release of TeamOne is we've added functionality to highlight what's important, right? And as Bethany will say, make it visual. So you already have your plan, your budget, your forecast, your Excel, your grid view of the data, some type of table or some of the information that you're monitoring. Well, now we align it with your strategic goals. Why is certain number important? Why is certain area of the business requires more attention than other areas of the business? And you can pull the metrics from the targets anywhere in your organization, right? So users can now recognize the impact of hitting their target on the organizational results. So if you achieve your target in a certain KPI or in a certain metric or in a certain area of your business, you can actually now see the impact on the other area of the business by using the visualizations that we provide, either impact diagrams or strategy maps or custom diagrams or just seeing the status indicators of your business. So by introducing scorecarding and strategic management and merging it with your planning, budgeting, and forecasting solution, we now can not just see the data, we can now analyze what's important in this data and how it can be improved and why you are monitoring certain areas, why you're looking at certain numbers. Next slide, please. So there are a few areas of scorecarding that I guess requires a little bit of a deeper dive in terms of the administration and in terms of the building. But in a high level, what we'll cover in today's demo is why did we use TeamOne for our metric store? Like, why did we decide to go with TeamOne as a calculation engine in the scorecarding solution? Well, mostly because of robustness of TeamOne engine. You can easily deploy solution, and you can navigate through the data very easily with slicing and dicing the views. Right? You can drill in, you can drill through, you can drill sideways, you can look at the data and create a sandbox analysis or create the what-if scenarios depending on the tool that you're using. Right? Because of the Team One in-memory processing of the information, we can easily work with creating different scenarios and seeing how our business will be performed, and especially adding the instant status recalculation. You can right away see if you're achieving certain targets or not. Right? If you have status for your plan, say it's green or yellow or red, when you are creating the what-if analysis or where you're creating a sandbox scenario for your plan for next year, you can right away see if you're going to be achieving your targets or if you're going to be achieving your goals for that year. Right? Also, scalability. I'm not going to be giving the praise to Team One engine, but it just speaks to itself, for itself, the scalability of the solution. Now, you do require to have Team One Performance Modeler to build the solution. So Performance Modeler was originally released in, I would say, version 10.1 of Team One. And in version 10.2 of Team One, we did add scorecarding functionality in Performance Modeler. So Performance Modeler is the authoring UI for your scorecarding solution, but it's a very light building solution stack in Performance Modeler. I'm going to show it to you in the demo. Now, in order of consumption of your scorecarding and strategic management, you have the full list of Team One applications. You can use Cognos Insight that Cheryl McPherson was showing right before me. You can also choose to use IBM Cognos BI Workspace, also known as Business Insight. You can use IBM Concert to monitor your scorecarding Team One keeps and their performance. You can use Team One Web, and you can also use Team One Mobile Computer. So as you can see, any of the Team One available UIs now will have scorecarding applications. And as Bethany was saying before me, scorecarding is included in Team One. So it's not an add-on. You don't have to pay extra. Once you are on the new, once you're on the current licensing model for Team One, you will obtain scorecarding functionality out of the box to the solution. If you want to get more information on the licenses, please contact your partner or let us know. I'm sure we can help you out sort out your entitlement. Now, the key investment areas for scorecarding, and I'm just going to go right now through the visualization rather quick, is first of all the scorecarding and strategy map. Right? A lot of customers get really cautious when they hear the word scorecarding because they think that they necessarily have to build the balanced scorecard strategy map and follow the balanced scorecard functionality and terminology. Yes and no. You can use balanced scorecarding approach and define the balanced view of the business from all different sides and use the balanced scorecard terminology. You can also not use balanced scorecarding approach, but just look at strategic management and have an additional visualization to show you your business performance. So for example, here are two examples of the strategic maps that you can use. First one on the left is a balanced scorecard strategy map that shows the view of your business from financial, customer, business, and innovation side. Second one is just a strategy map. Bring a background image of your org chart or your geography map or any other visualization, and then just drop the KPIs on top of it to show the performance. Right? You don't have to go with the balanced scorecard terminology. You can just look at additional visualizations to the data you already have. Next slide. Impact diagrams. Honestly, my most favorite visualization for scorecarding, and right now they are even better and faster and prettier and sexier than they were before. So impact diagram displays positive and negative impact, therefore setting impact diagram among the metrics. So what you're seeing on this screenshot is an organizational metrics dimensions, like, and we saw it earlier in Focus Insight when Trevor was showing a couple of measures on his dashboard. Now, these are the same measures now with scorecarding, within scorecarding functionality included, right? You can see the status of each one of these metrics. You can see the volume red, profit margin red, SG&A metric red, or marketing cost being yellow. So not just you can see the statuses of these metrics, you can now see the impact from one metric to another. For example, SG&A metric here impacts profit margin negatively because we can see the dotted line here, versus gross margin impacts profit margin positively. Meaning, if your gross margin metric goes up, your profit margin metric will go up. If your SG&A metric goes up, your profit margin will probably go down because the more you spend on general and administration, the lower your profit margin will be. Right? So these diagrams not just shows the statuses of all the metrics you're looking at, it also shows the impact from one metric to another. And the beautiful part about this impact diagram is that we now generate them automatically based on the calculations that you've added to Team1 Cube. For example, if your profit margin was calculated using SG&A gross margin metric, we will generate this diagram for you automatically and show this relationship. So very visual diagram, takes a couple clicks to build it and shows the impact from one metric to another. Next slide. Last but not least, planning and forecasting cube view, we see of our data. And this is just a standard Team1 cube view. As you can see, your dimensions on rows, columns, and the context available in the middle, and your metric available here with stats. Right, so all we've done is that we are leveraging existing Team1 functionality now with more visuals on statuses and trend indicators of this data. Okay, I think next slide is just going to be the screenshot of a dashboard, and instead of looking at the screenshot, Mike, if you can make me a presenter, I will attempt to demo the same views that we just saw on the dashboard. All right, let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, so this is Focus Insight, kind of continuing with our story for today that Trevor was presenting earlier. So again, Focus Insight is based on Team1 data source, and now the scorecarding functionality is just a continuation of the story we've seen earlier. Right. So on the first part of our demo today, Trevor was showing you how you can bring in the data into Focus Insight, how you can create different visualizations, dynamic text, create different filtering, look at different synchronization model, undo, redo, and all that. Now, I'm not going to be repeating the same parts of the demo. I'm going to show you other side of Focus Insight, how you can leverage Focus Insight for scorecarding dashboard. So, first part we're looking here is just a simple Team1 review with a list of the KPIs. So we have the same KPIs that were discussed, cost of goods sold, manufacturing costs, and we're leveraging Focus Insight filtering functionality to look at the different visualizations. So for example here, let's explore profit margin. Right? Let's use one of the one of the Focus Insight filtering, and let's look at the profit margin, and we'll see right away our history chart updating to show the performance of profit margin over previous quarter. This is just a standard Focus Insight functionality working with Team1 Grid. Now let's look at the more visualizations we have with Team1 scorecarding now. Now we're looking at our strategy map. So top left corner here, as I said, strategy map with a hierarchy of your goals and objectives. And when we hover over one of our organizational goals, we can see which metrics or which KPIs are responsible for achieving this goal. We can see here that improving margin goal for the organization has few metrics supporting it. Now we can see the profit margin metric is red. Let's filter in further, see the rest of the visualizations in Focus Insight to update to show this metric. Now we can see our custom diagram here on the bottom left portion of the view, showing the performance of this profit margin in different organizational units. right? We can see how it's doing in online sales. We can see how it's doing in in other channels. So we are using Cognos Insights dashboarding functionality to explore more about our business, starting with the queue, and then following through additional visualizations we have, such as strategy maps, such as custom diagram with a background image you can hover over and learn more about the specific metric. Or we can use an impact diagram that's the top right corner here, that is actually going to show us the relationship among profit margin and other organizational metrics. Right? As I was describing earlier, our impact diagram was generated to us automatically based on the calculations we have set up within our Team 1 queue. And we can see that our profit margin is impacted by SG&A and gross margin metrics. And we can explore the data for each one of these metrics and see how these metrics were impacted by the rest of the organization. Right, so we can see here that our profit margin is impacted by a large chain of organizational metrics. And then we can see that some of them are yellow, some of them are red. So let's use another of the scorecarding visualization that's available within Cognos Insights, such as our tree map view. So if we want to learn more, we can use all of this visualization. So we can add custom diagrams. We can see that sales within our company.com are not performing very well. So let's use the tree map and go on our company.com. We can see that within our company.com, the profit margin for desktop computers is actually too low. Okay, so now we're going to go for desktop computers and the rest of the visualizations instead of looking at all the diagrams. And it's in fact the same impact diagram as we were looking at earlier. We can see here that the filters in these diagrams are updated to show all the filters we applied earlier. Right, so now we are looking at profit margin. We're looking at a specific channel, that's our company.com. We're looking at desktop computers because we've discovered that this is the area that's problematic in our business. And we can easily follow the red line to identify what's the problem with selling this specific product through this specific channel. Right? And we can see here that the volume of sales is just not achieving its target because, well, people just don't really buy desktop computers anymore. Maybe that's one of the reasons. So at this point, what we can do is we can present this to our executive by leveraging one of the Cognos Insights functionalities, such as printing to PDF or creating the what if analysis. What if I stop selling the desktop computers in this specific channel? How is it going to impact the rest of my business? Right? So we can create different scenarios based on the data we discovered. Now, what else can we do with the Cognos Insights? Well, if it was an approval hierarchy-based application, we could have taken responsibility and ownership of this application, and we could have then modified the data and submitted it to approval for our manager. That's another functionality of Cognos Insights working with Team 1 is that you can take advantage of all the workflow functionality available within Team 1. Now, enough of Cognos Insights, let's go into different UI that I think is going to be familiar for some of you. We're just going to open the same application I was opening within Cognos Insights. We're going to open it within Team 1 application web. So the first is going to ask me to look at the same views I was looking at earlier. Right, so within Team 1 application web, you can see that you have your same Team 1 review that you were looking at earlier in Cognos Insights, with the visualizations available as well as we were looking at earlier in Cognos Insights. Right, so here you have your impact diagram, again, showing the relationship among the KPIs, all the functionalities for span collapse available right here within Team 1 web. You can also change to different diagram types, such as strategy map that we were also looking at earlier, or any custom diagram that we built for our visualization. Right, so same functionality as we had in Cognos Insights is now available in Team 1 web. I'm not going to be going through all the UIs that allow you to leverage scorecarding. Let me just say that we saw it in Cognos Insights and Team 1 web. Team 1 contributor, Concert, and Cognos Workspace, and mobile all have the functionality of scorecarding. So please explore more. The features available to all of you if you're on the current licensing model, free of charge. So if you want to learn more about your business, understand the relationship between the data, understand the achievement of your goals, your targets within the business. Reach out to your partner, learn more about scorecarding functionality, and let us know if you have any questions. Okay. Michael, I did overrun my time, so I'm going to hold Trevor here at this point. And I'm going to pass the control back to you.